What up, bitches? Welcome back to Law of Attraction Changed My Life. I am your host, Francesca Amber, and welcome to this little corner of the podcasting world where we meet every Friday like a little coven or a cult, you decide, and we talk about self-development, manifesting, creating the life of your goddamn dreams, but in a actually realistic way, because do you know what? We've got limited time, we've got limited energy, we've got limited attention spans thanks to TikTok, god damn it. And so it's about making it work for you. Anyway, I am coming at you live and direct from the end, almost the end. I don't want to wish my life away, almost the end of the goddamn summer holidays. We've got no routine. I've got loom bands all over my house. I genuinely do not know what day of the week it is. We have had so much time and freedom this summer, and it's been so glorious. It's been very low key. I've had summers where I'm like, oh, I'm here, I'm there, I'm on safari, I'm in a tree house, I'm living my best life, I'm in Cornwall. This summer weren't doing it for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like this summer, I just wanted time and space and freedom for my girls to really just, do you know what's been delightful? Like, watching their sisterhood grow, like fostering that time and space that their sisterhood needed, like a little bit of boredom, a little bit of just hanging out at home, a little bit of like, we ain't got no place to be. A lot of being, not a lot of doing. Do you know what I'm saying? That's been the vibe in my house this summer holidays. We were due to go to Cornwall next week. That was going to be like our little summer holiday. And I cancelled it. We've cancelled it. And I'm just like, do you know what? We still have things on our little bucket list of things we want to do locally, and we still haven't had the time to do them. So we're just going to stay at home and spend this last week of the summer holidays just being together. I've just realised I painted a very idealistic, fuzzy around the edges view of what my house has been like. Let me tell you, it's also been fucking hellish at times. Being in a house with 3 young children with no routines, no bedtimes, and everything going wild, it's not all been a picnic. I'm not going to lie, okay? I've also been panicking a little bit about work because I've had so little time. I've made a conscious decision at the beginning of this summer holidays. My intention for the summer was just to be a present mother. It wasn't to write a book. It wasn't to do anything crazy work-wise. It was just to be present and be in my life. And so sometimes it's quite good to just remind yourself of what your intention is for whatever season of life you're in, whether it's the summer holidays, whether it's this year, something you set an intention for 2024. It's good to look back and be like, what was my intention for this? And see if you're actually living it out. And as much as I'm loving the summer holidays, you better believe I am quite excited to get back into a routine. Your girl loves a routine. I can't wait to get back to work, back to school, back to nursery. I love the whole September back to school vibes. The autumnal decor is calling my goddamn name. It's calling my name. I've already bought 3 ornamental pumpkins, okay? Don't judge me. Let me live my life. I saw something on Instagram the other day. It said, I'm focused on 3 things: my life, my peace, and my Halloween decorations. And I've never felt more seen, okay? To be honest, never felt more seen. But seriously, summer is not over yet. I really want to make the most of these last few weeks before autumn starts, before the pumpkin spice bitches kick their way out into the world and it's all over for us. I really want to hang on to this last part of summer. And we can do that in really small ways. Sitting outside. I've been sitting outside loads. Extending your summer by getting outside whilst it's still warm. Okay, it may not always be sunny. You might need a jumper, but you can still sit outside. We've been having our meals outside, pretty much everyone that we can, and that's really enjoyable because I just keep thinking, when it's the dead of winter and I look out at 4 p.m. and it is pitch black and my tree has not a single leaf on it, and I'll be thinking, wow, remember the nights we just sat out there in a t-shirt and had our dinner? What a time to be alive. Anyway, this is not a podcast about seasonal living. Today I want to talk about growing pains. So not the type you get in your legs when you're growing up, but spiritual or self-development growing pains. And how this is something that people don't talk about a lot. We can experience growing pains as adults when we are growing and evolving into a new version of ourselves. And in fact, growing pains really are a completely inevitable part of our spiritual or personal growth. It is a sign of our progress. If you are not growing at all, if you're stagnant in your life, well, it's very comfortable, isn't it? In a way, it's very comfortable. You're not testing yourself at all. You won't have any growing pains. You won't have imposter syndrome. You won't have anything like that because you're just in your little lane and you're staying in the same place. But when you are evolving and you're growing and you're on a spiritual path or you're on a personal development path, you're going to feel the pain, okay, of growing into a new version of you. Just like how you get imposter syndrome when you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. If you think about it, you don't get imposter syndrome when you are in the same job for 10 years or you're still living at home with your parents at age 50. Do you know what? I'm actually not going to troll you about that because I think that's a lovely thing to do. I actually love intergenerational living and I'm here for it. So I take that back. But if you've been doing the same thing 5,000 times, do you know what I mean? You get imposter syndrome when you are stretching yourself, when you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and doing new things. It could be that you are hanging out in new circles. It could be that you're trying new things. You're starting a new career or business or just living your life in a different way. That is when the imposter syndrome hits. And with so many of us look at that as like a negative. I'm not supposed to be here. They're going to find me out. Like I'm not good enough for this. But actually, imposter syndrome is a sign of progress, as are growing pains. So let's look at what this can look like in your life, right? So maybe you're working on yourself and you're becoming more self-aware and you're growing apart from some relationships in your life that just simply aren't in alignment with you anymore. I think we can all remember a time when this has happened to us. Even when relationships are totally wrong for us, when we are unhappy in them, it can still be incredibly painful to move on. That's just a fact. Even when we know life will be better without them, it can be incredibly scary and painful to move on. So when I got divorced, I was in towards the end, very, very unhappy marriage. Like there were very, very few positives to that relationship. And yet still making that leap of being a married woman with a child to then being single, I was hit with all of these limiting beliefs. Who will I go on holiday with now? That was a really real one. I genuinely thought I would never go on holiday again. What will we do on the weekends? Like, who will we spend Christmas with? All of a sudden, there are these gaping holes in your life, these gaping holes of time, of energy, of space. And it's about really feeling those big absences and having the courage to wait, to fill them consciously with what you want. But in the meantime, that void, it can be incredibly painful. As a newly single person, you might, relate to this, that you are tempted to fill it with cheap thrills. And look, we've all fucking been there. It's all quite fun. I get it. I'm not saying I haven't walked down the street on a night out with my friends, met a 22-year-old soldier and gone and fucked him in a hotel. Look, we all have to fill these holes. Oh God, that sounds terrible actually. But like we fill these spaces, right? But when we are working on our self-development, we are consciously filling these holes with what we truly want in our life. We're being conscious about what we fill our life back up with. Because when you take something away, like a friendship or a relationship, you've got to be conscious about what you want to fill that void with. As you transition into a different season of your life, whether that's motherhood, or maybe you finish school and you start working, or you become married or single, or you're moving across the country, whatever it might be, some friendships won't survive. And that's okay. That's okay. It's great to regularly look at your life and see what is working and what isn't. And then what isn't, you lovingly release what is no longer for you. I remember when I was pregnant with my first child, I had a friend who we got on well and we used to go out a lot. So we used to go out partying a lot. And then when I was pregnant and I was sober, I was like, oh, we have nothing in common. I do not enjoy this friendship at all. And it's quite uncomfortable to realize whether it is through forced abstinence, through pregnancy, you're suddenly not drinking or socializing the way that you used to, or maybe you're on a self-development journey. Maybe you're with me on my book club self-development journey. That's a fucking wild ride. Or maybe you're experimenting with manifesting and creating the life that you want. And when other people are not on that journey and you start to see how maybe they're a negative influence on your life, and maybe they're not toxic people, they're not bad people, you're just now on a different path. This can be really difficult. It can be really uncomfortable. It doesn't feel nice, but it's a part of shedding our old skin and evolving into who we're becoming. That these pains, these growing pains, are an inevitable part of that. So we've done relationships. What about money? Money is another area where growing pains will really, really come up for you. So anyone that has ever done any kind of money mindset work or massively increased their income through a new job or business or whatever, you will know that there is a little saying, which is so true: new level, new devil. So not to go so far as P. Diddy, more money, more problems, but more money, different problems. So if we are serious about increasing our wealth, we need to be serious about becoming the kind of person who can receive that level of wealth. And we need to become that person by doing different things. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's actually easier to just stay the same, right? It's easier to stay the same with the same small money problems. Do you think it was easy for me to go from being a single, pregnant spray tanner beautician living in a 1-bedroom flat above a pub to the person I am now? Like a multiple business owner, buying and renovating my dream home, earning over £500,000 a year. I think 1 year it was like a crazy amount. I actually don't know. That's actually my toxic trait, is I actually don't always know what I earn, but it wasn't easy. That's my point, is it was not easy. It took deliberate action, deliberate choices. It took working through my fears and my blocks around money. So I had a lot of fears around money, such as hiring professionals, such as bookkeepers and tax accountants and even a wealth manager at one point. And Jay, my lovely Jay, my right-hand man, to help me. I could not handle that level all by myself. And I had to release some control and pay other people to help me. Now, you would not believe how many limiting beliefs come up around just that kind of thing. It fans out to like hitting the VAT threshold. That is a whole new level of fear for people, is hitting that VAT threshold, suddenly having a whole new load of obligations of things you need to fill out and things you need to pay, sorting out all different kinds of tax. Suddenly you've got corporation tax, personal tax, VAT. It is scary. It's really scary, and it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by moving through the uncomfortability, the stretching of the skin, this is making me feel sick, of who you were, and breaking through that skin and reaching up to the next level. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. You might have a few sleepless nights, but it's just you growing into this new version of you. Another way this happened to me in my business was upgrading to platforms that I don't know how they fucking work. So when I first started my business, it was very simple. I started out on Big Cartel, and do you know what? Big up Big Cartel. I always shout them out to people that are just starting their businesses because they are completely free. You can start a Big Cartel and you can start a shop where you can sell products, and you can have, I think, up to like 5 or 6 products. This is not an ad. I don't get like a commission, although I should. Hey, but Big Cartel is incredible. Any idiot can work it. I am a tech idiot and I worked it. And Patreon. Patreon was an incredible platform where I could upload my podcasts and I could get paid. And I did that all myself, and I knew how to work it, and it was really comfortable for me. But there came a point where Jay was like, you've got to move on, Fran. You've got to move on and change platforms and change the way you do things. And I had to trust him, and I had to trust web designers, and I had to trust all these different people with my business. And that is scary, to move things forward. All of those things, they all take courage. They all take conscious decisions to grow and evolve and do things that I've never done before. I mean, you take it back to a very domestic level. I was really scared about having a big house. Most of my life had lived in a flat. And what I loved about my flat is there was no roof, there was no guttering, there was no maintenance work that I had to carry out. If anything happened to the building, my neighbor would fucking do it. God bless Steve. Steve would do it. He would sort it out. I never had to think about this stuff. And doing that evolution of moving from a flat to a house where I had a roof and a gutter and a garden and a fence that might blow down, to then having a big house where there's a lot of maintenance and I've got a bloody hedge. You would not believe how much maintenance a hedge takes. You would honestly not believe it. And that took a series of steps of being scared and evolving and saying, I'm going from this girl living in a flat to living in a small house to living in a big house with a garden and a pool to maintain, all this shit, That is an evolution of who I am domestically. And it all takes courage and conscious decisions to grow and evolve. So as you work on your self-development, which so often goes hand in hand with the law of attraction and manifesting, you will, not you might, you 100% will experience periods of emotional discomfort as you begin to think outside of your usual patterns, and especially when long-held perspectives are challenged. Because Lord knows that is what we are doing in self-development, right? We are looking at our beliefs. We are looking at beliefs that we've had our whole lives, and then we challenge them and we say, well, what if that's not true? And that can be hard. One way that this is coming up for me right now is men. Do you know what? The first verse of Amy Winehouse's song, What Is It About Men? Go and listen to that. That sums up, I feel like, so many girls that have issues with men. And that for me, that song is like, yeah, that you've just summed it up. You have just summed up my issues. Thank you. Thank you, Amy Winehouse. God rest you. God rest your soul. So in order to manifest a soulmate into my life, I am having to challenge a limiting belief, a long-held belief that men are inherently bad. They are not going to add much positivity to your life. They're going to bring nothing good for you. Nothing but drama, nothing but trouble. And this is hard for me as a diehard man hater to challenge this belief. Looking back, and in hindsight is 2020, the signs were all there. I did not have great relationships modeled to me as a child at all. I just didn't see them. Then when I was old enough to date, I only dated Premiership footballers. What was that about? What was she doing? She lived that wag life, Hans. Well, I say lived that wag life. I was mostly having secret meetings in friends' apartments. But 2008, wag culture was alive and well. What a time to be alive. I was living my best life, okay? Then after that, I had sugar daddies. Sugar daddies. I mean, one was very serious. It went on for several years. I had a contract and everything. This is not the sign of an emotionally well person. What was I doing? What was I actually doing? All the signs were there. I did not trust men. I did not give them the respect they deserved. And I can sit here now and say that. I'm aware enough that I can say that. However, despite all that, I did get married for love. And I really, really tried, but it didn't work. So I look at my life now, right? I'm living my dream goddamn life in a way. I'm single. I've got 3 daughters in our pussy palace. I don't know why I called it a pussy palace, actually. I don't know why I called it that. I've never, ever called it that in my life. What can we call it? What can we call it? Not that. That's gross. Feminist farm? I don't know. I'm living here where I am financially independent. I'm happy being on my own. I can do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm fucking doing it, man. We're going on holidays. We're traveling. We're seeing the world. We're doing shit. I've got good friends. I've got good family. I'm doing it all. But I now have to challenge that all these things that I've created in my life that are considered great, yes, provide for my family on my own, I'm independent, yeah. But is this actually all good? For me, now, no. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of women that need a bit of that energy, that feel like they can't leave their partner that is not right for them, or they can't do it on their own. They need a bit of that energy. And do you know what? It's fucking served me. Thank you. That's what I always say to all of my limiting beliefs. Thank you. You've tried to keep me alive and you've tried to save me. And I will never, ever not be grateful for that. But know when it's time to move on from that limiting belief. And for me now, this is no longer serving me. In my little gilded cage, in my little castle with its wall outside, I don't need to be protected anymore. I am having to challenge my experiences in childhood and in adolescence in my 20s and realize that I am basing my men are bad theory on 3 to 4 men tops. Out of how many billion of men in this world, I am basing my theory on 3 to 4 people. Also, as I learned that like attracts like, I realized that I have attracted these type of men and these experiences into my life. As I take responsibility for everything that has manifested into my life, I recognize my own red flags in the story and the part that I've had to play. Believe me, that's not comfortable. That's not fun. That's not a fun day when you do that, And as I discover that there are indeed lots of amazing, loving, kind, generous, DIY loving men out there, I finally see that I've been missing out on this incredible energy in my life for so long. And that's painful. That's really painful to recognize all of those things. And it's hard to challenge these beliefs that have been so strong in our minds for so long. So do you think it's easy for me to challenge these long-held beliefs that have kept me safe? No. Trying to overcome my reptile brain? No, it's not easy. I don't help myself. I watch murder documentaries all the time that confirm my beliefs. The husband did it. The husband did it. It's hard. It's painful. It's sad. And it's scary to challenge this and to be vulnerable and to try and create a new story for myself. Do you know what else it is? It's brave. It's really fucking brave. This applies to so many different areas of your life. Fitness and health. This is something that I've really tried to prioritize this year. You might have friends trying to pull you back into your old ways if you've decided, I want to be sober. Maybe I don't want to do drugs anymore. I don't want to drink. I want to work out. I don't want to go and sit in the pub for our meetups. I'd like to go for a walk. And your friends will take the piss out of you and try and pull you back into your old ways. Maybe your partner still smokes and you're trying to be healthier. My mum and my girls emotionally tug at me every time I leave the house to do a workout, which is once a week. Okay, once a week to do a pole dancing class. I feel like prisoners get more time off. They literally emotionally blackmail me as I'm leaving. Please stay with me. And I'm like, I need to prioritize this. My health is important to me. My fitness is important to me. This is something I have to do for me. It's not easy. None of this is easy, but growing into a new, evolved version of you takes you breaking through your old skin, and it's fucking hard. As you learn and grow and evolve, you will have growing pains growing into this new version of you. It's called leveling up, bitches. It's called leveling up. And guess what? You can do it. You can do it. The reason I did this episode is because I didn't want you to think that self-development is just all fun and games. I think people look at the trajectory, I can never say that word. I don't know why I choose to say it because I can't say it, trajectory of my life. And so many people will DM me and say, oh my God, I'm listening to your podcast from 2020 and I've just come onto your Instagram and I can see you finally got your dream home and you got the swimming pool and you traveled to the places you wanted to go and you're living your dream life. You did it. And I'm so happy. And I'm like, yeah, like self-development fucking works. I've committed to reading a self-development book every single month for the past, oh my God, nearly 4 years now. And it has had an incredible impact on every single area of my life. But I don't want you to see that filtered one-dimensional version on Instagram and think that that's it. Sometimes self-development and realizing what you want in your life is painful. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. It's scary and it's sad. Like, it's all of those things. And that's basically why I wanted to do this episode today, to let you know, like, you can do it. It's you growing out of your old skin. It's you finding peace with the old you and growing into the new you. And it's okay. That's basically it. It's okay. You can do it. I so hope that this episode has touched the people today that it's needed to. If you've enjoyed this episode, do your girl a solid. You can rate, review, subscribe. They all take mere seconds, I promise you, and yet they help me out so much. I also do read all of my reviews. I love them. I absolutely love them. So yeah, you can do all those things. You can share this episode with a friend if you think that they need to listen to it. Share it on your stories on your Instagram. Go wild. Tag me. I'm at Law of Attraction, Change My Life, or at Francesca Amber. I'll repost as many as I can. I love to see all of your stories of like you out for a walk in nature, listening to the pod, or, you know, driving to work, listening to the pod. Thank you so much for sharing those. Like I said, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Law of Attraction, Change My Life. I'm at Francesca Amber. And if you want to join me on my self-development journey, come and do it. I have a book club. It is the UK's largest self-development book club. There's about 3,000 of us in there. We pick a new book each month, and we've just picked a new book for September. It is called The Magic of Thinking Big, and it is one of the greats of self-development. It was actually published in the 1950s. It's one of the true cornerstones of self-development, and we are reading it, baby. So if you are ready to think big, lead fearlessly, earn more, live a happier life, come and get involved. I will leave all the links down below. Thank you so much for listening. I love recording this. As always, I love speaking to you guys. I feel like it's a two-way thing. Some people say that podcasting is like just screaming into the abyss, and I disagree. I feel a real two-way energetic flow. So thank you so much for all your lovely comments and for just being involved in this journey. And remember, if it feels scary or painful or uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that it's not right and you're doing it wrong. It just means you are growing into the new version of you. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you bitches next week. The Law of Attraction has changed my life. It's going to change yours too. Bye.